Singer Chris Brown was ordered held by a British court at a Friday morning hearing over an incident that happened when he was on tour in 2023.
Let me tell you something. The music industry has never seen a more twisted case of cosmic karma. Just when you thought celebrity drama couldn't get any wilder, Chris Brown gets arrested literally hours after defending Tory Lanez online. I'm talking minutes after hitting post on Free Tory. That's right. He couldn't have timed it worse if he tried. Imagine this. You're Chris Brown. You've got a massive tour going, millions in the bank, and you decide to publicly support a convicted felon.
Brown was charged with one count of causing grievous bodily harm for allegedly beating a music producer in a London nightclub. He was arrested Thursday morning and will next appear in court in London in June.
Who shot a woman? Then boom, you're in handcuffs in a foreign country with a $16 million lawsuit hanging over your head. This isn't just bad timing. This is the universe sending a message. And trust me, people are listening. The internet exploded within seconds. Comments like that Tory's support is a curse and man said free Tory and got locked up himself.
Brown's representative has not responded to a request for comment. The singer is scheduled to begin a European, US, and Canada tour on June 8th in Amsterdam.
Started flooding in because let's be honest, the irony is almost too perfect to be coincidental. It's like watching karma work in real time right before our eyes. But this story goes deeper than just an ill-timed arrest. Way deeper. Because behind all the headlines and social media frenzy is a tangled web of violence, loyalty, betrayal, and questions that nobody seems ready to answer.
I think I would tell him, be humble. The road ahead isn't the end. It's just the beginning.
What really happened the night Megan the Stallion? Who's telling the truth? And why are so many powerful men in the industry rushing to defend Tory Lanez, even as evidence stacks against him? That's what we're unpacking today. And trust me, you're going to want to stay for every shocking detail. Let's rewind for a second. Manchester, UK. Chris Brown is performing on his Breezy Bowl 20 tour, celebrating 20 years in the music industry. Everything seems normal.
I would say, I never thought about that. That's crazy.
The show goes on without a hitch. Fans are screaming, money is flowing. Then Chris picks up his phone and types 5 words that would change everything. Free Tory, complete with 5 exclamation points. He posted to his Instagram story, visible to his 140 million followers. A bold move by any standard. A declaration of loyalty to a man serving 10 years in a woman. And just hours later, British police show up with handcuffs.
I think I get more overwhelmed by not getting the opportunities that I wanted. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
everybody sees
more.
People say,
yeah.
You mean like people, like you saying like things.
Meaning like because of my success, right? And I've been able to sustain that.
The charge? Allegedly smashing a tequila bottle over music producer Abe Dial's head at a London nightclub back in 2023. Not just assault. We're talking about potentially life-threatening violence, the kind that leaves permanent damage, the kind that comes with a $16 million price tag attached to it. Now, I need you to appreciate the timing here.
And have an amazing fan base. You know, people don't get to see the no's that I get.
It's crazy to think at your level because
you get what I'm saying?
We all go through that, but
Yeah.
even Chris Brown still hears N-O.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's almost poetic. Chris Brown, a man with his own infamous history of violence against women, publicly supports another man convicted of a woman and immediately faces consequences for his own violent behavior. You can't make this stuff up. In the internet is having a field day. But listen to this. While Chris is dealing with his arrest,
It's different, bro. Like when I was younger, like I used to go for the trashy girls, like back in the day, like man, I like you, that little attitude, blah blah blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? But for me now, it's just more about friendship.
Tory Lanez's legal team is back in court with what they're calling bombshell evidence. And this time, all eyes are on Kelsey Harris, Megan Thee Stallion's former best friend. According to new testimony, a bodyguard has come forward claiming that Kelsey admitted to him that she was the one who fired during that infamous 2020 altercation. Not Tory Lanez. Let that sink in for a second. For 3 years, the world has believed that Tory Lanez Megan Thee Stallion. He was convicted on all 3 felony charges. Sentenced to 10 years in prison. Case closed, right? But if this bodyguard's testimony is true, if Kelsey Harris was actually the shooter, then an innocent man has been sitting behind bars this whole time. And that would explain why artists like Chris Brown are so vocal in their support. But it gets worse, because according to this witness, Kelsey and Megan were fighting that night. Tory tried to break it up, and in the chaos, in Kelsey's hands, not Tory's. So why wasn't this bombshell dropped during the original trial? Why is it only coming to light now? And most importantly, is it even true? These are the questions setting social media on fire right now. Some people think it's a desperate attempt to free Tory. Others think it's the truth finally coming out. And in the middle of it all are 3 people whose lives have been forever changed by whatever happened that night. Now, I want you to think about Megan's testimony for a moment, because regardless of who pulled the trigger, her pain was real. When she took the stand, she described how Tory allegedly told her to dance, how the bullets hit her feet, how she crawled away bleeding, terrified for her life. She even admitted in front of the entire courtroom that she wished he had just killed her. That's how deep her trauma ran. It was gut-wrenching, raw, powerful. The kind of testimony that makes a jury believe every word. But here's where things get complicated. Kelsey Harris, the same woman now being named as the potential shooter, was also called to testify. In her testimony, it was a mess. She claimed to have memory issues. She contradicted earlier statements. She seemed nervous, evasive, like someone with something to hide. Was she covering for herself, protecting Tory, betraying Megan? The jury couldn't tell, but they convicted Tory anyway. And now, years later, we might finally understand why Kelsey was so reluctant to speak clearly. Drop a comment below on who you think actually pulled the trigger that night. Was it Tory, Kelsey, or is there more to this story that none of us know yet? I'm genuinely curious what you all think about this twisted situation. But before we go deeper into the Tory case, we need to talk about Chris Brown, because his arrest isn't just bad timing. It's the latest chapter in a long history of violence and controversy. Remember 2009, when photos of Rihanna's battered face leaked to the media? That should have been the end of Chris Brown's career. In any other industry, it would have been. But in music, he got a second chance, and a third, and a fourth. Since then, there have been multiple accusations of violence, restraining orders, lawsuits, public outbursts, and now allegedly smashing a bottle over someone's head in a nightclub. A pattern so clear that even his most dedicated fans are starting to question their loyalty. Yet somehow Chris keeps bouncing back. Hit songs, sold out tours, Grammy Awards. It's like the industry has an endless supply of forgiveness for him, but absolutely none for his victims. And that brings us to a question that's becoming impossible to ignore. Why do we keep giving violent men platforms? Why do their careers survive accusations that would destroy anyone else's? Is it talent, money, power, or something deeper, more systemic that we're all afraid to name? But it gets worse. Because while Chris Brown is facing arrest in the UK, Tory Lanez is reportedly fighting for his safety behind bars. According to reports, Tory was allegedly stabbed multiple times in prison, an incident that sparked another wave of Free Tory posts online. Supporters claim he's being targeted, that the system is out to get him, that he's paying a price far beyond his sentence. And Chris Brown was one of those voices, one of those celebrities bold enough to publicly demand Tory's freedom. Was the stabbing real? Was it as serious as reported? Or is this another attempt to win sympathy in the court of public opinion? The details are murky, but what's clear is that the Free Tory movement is gaining momentum, despite the conviction, despite the evidence, despite Megan's testimony. And now with this new testimony about Kelsey potentially being the shooter, that movement might actually have legs to stand on. You won't believe what happened next. As all this drama unfolds, Chris Brown's Breezy Bowl 20 tour is hanging by a thread. International travel restrictions, court dates, public backlash, the entire multi-million-dollar production is in jeopardy. Fans who paid hundreds, sometimes thousands, for tickets are left wondering if their shows will be canceled. Promoters are scrambling to figure out next steps. And Chris, he's stuck in legal limbo, fighting not just for his freedom, but for a tour that represents 2 decades of his career. The financial impact could be devastating, not just for Chris, but for everyone in his orbit: backup dancers, sound technicians, stage managers, security teams. Hundreds of people depend on this tour for their livelihoods. And now, because of one allegedly violent outburst, all of that is at risk. It's a reminder of how quickly everything can change in this industry. How one bad decision can topple an empire that took years to build. And how, no matter how much money or fame you have, you're never really untouchable. But listen to this. The man Chris allegedly assaulted, Abe Dial, isn't just pressing criminal charges. He's suing for $16 million. According to Dial, the attack left him with serious injuries and permanent damage. The kind of injuries that change your life forever. That's not just a nightclub brawl anymore. That's a financial disaster waiting to happen. And for Chris, who's already battled lawsuits and settlements in the past, this could be another expensive stain on an already battered reputation. But the most fascinating part of this entire saga, the public response. Chris thought Free Tory, Mytho, would make a statement, and it did. Just not the one he wanted. Fans, critics, even other celebrities are dragging him for showing support to a convicted shooter, especially when he's facing his own violent charges. The court of public opinion is in full session, and right now, Chris is losing. People are asking why he keeps aligning himself with controversy, why he can't seem to stay out of trouble, and if he even wants redemption at this point. Some say he's being targeted. Others, they say he's finally facing consequences for years of bad behavior. But everyone agrees on one thing: the timing couldn't have been worse. Here's where things stand right now. Chris Brown is out on bail, but can't leave the UK until his case is resolved. Tory Lanez is still in prison, recovering from alleged stab wounds and pinning his hopes on new evidence about Kelsey Harris. And Megan Thee Stallion, she's trying to rebuild her life and career after trauma that played out on a global stage. 3 artists, 3 intertwined stories. and one industry that seems determined to protect its own, no matter the cost. I want to hear from you on this one. Do you think Chris Brown's arrest was just coincidence, or was it somehow related to his support of Tory? And more importantly, do you think we should separate the music from the man? Can we enjoy their art while holding them accountable for their actions? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, because this conversation is far from over. But there's another layer to this story that we need to talk about, because it's not just about Chris Brown or Tory Lanez anymore. It's about Kelsey Harris and the internet's obsession with her potential role in all this. Now that she's back in the conversation, fans are going full detective mode. Social media is flooded with old videos, screenshots of text messages, body language analyses, anything that might prove or disprove her involvement in the shooting. Some believe she's the real shooter and Tory is innocent. Others think this is all a desperate attempt to protect Tory. And some are blaming everyone, saying the whole situation is toxic and the truth may never fully come out. But one thing's clear, the internet is invested. Twitter threads breaking down timelines, TikToks going viral with theories, YouTube documentaries analyzing every angle. And Kelsey Harris? She's gone completely silent. No statements, no social media, no response to the allegations whatsoever. Just silence, which of course only fuels more speculation. If she really did pull the trigger that night, if she really did let an innocent man go to prison, that's not just a betrayal of friendship. That's a crime. That's perjury. That's obstruction of justice. And the consequences could be severe. But if she's innocent, if this is all just a desperate attempt to free Tory, then she's the victim of one of the most vicious smear campaigns in recent memory. A woman whose reputation is being destroyed to save a man who was rightfully convicted. Either way, one thing is certain. This story is far from over. With Chris Brown's arrest, Tory's alleged prison stabbing, and now these new allegations about Kelsey, we're watching the dominoes fall in real time, and nobody knows where they'll stop. In the midst of all this chaos, two men are fighting for their freedom. Two men whose careers have been defined by both incredible talent and shocking violence. Two men who represent a larger question about accountability in the entertainment industry. Chris Brown, Tory Lanez, two artists, two explosive cases, and one massive question. Can we separate the music from the man? Both of these stars had legendary careers. Both changed the sound of modern R&B and hip-hop. Both have millions of dedicated fans who will defend them no matter what. But now their legacies are tangled in violence, courtroom drama, and social media chaos. And as fans, as consumers, as human beings, we're all left wondering where accountability begins and where celebrity protection ends. Is talent enough to excuse violence? Is money enough to escape consequences? Or is it time we stop giving platforms to people who cause harm, no matter how catchy their songs might be? These aren't easy questions. They don't have simple answers, but they're questions we need to start asking, because this pattern of violence, protection, and immunity has gone on for far too long. So, as Chris Brown fights for his freedom in the UK, as Tory Lanez appeals his conviction from behind bars, as Kelsey Harris faces renewed scrutiny online, and as Megan the Stallion continues to heal from trauma that should have never happened, one thing is abundantly clear. The music industry has a reckoning coming, and it's long overdue. Because at the end of the day, these aren't just celebrities, they're people. Their actions have consequences. Their behavior sets precedents. And the way we respond as fans, as an industry, as a society, matters more than any chart position or award ever could. The story of Chris Brown, Tory Lanez, Megan Thee Stallion, and Kelsey Harris isn't just celebrity gossip. It's a mirror reflecting back our own values, our own priorities, and our own willingness to look away when the truth becomes inconvenient. And that mirror, it's showing us something we might not want to see. So, what happens next? Will Chris Brown face consequences for his alleged assault? Will Tory Lanez's conviction be overturned? Will Kelsey Harris finally break her silence? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this story is just beginning, and whatever happens next will change the landscape of hip-hop forever. Stay tuned. Because in the world of music, justice, and celebrity, the truth is always stranger than fiction. And sometimes karma comes knocking right after you hit post.